So you may or may not know that I am a big iPad Pro user. I call my iPad my main computer because I do pretty much everything that you would want to do on a regular computer, for lack of a better term, but I do it on my iPad and I absolutely love this thing. It started with the 2018 iPad Pro, and now I'm currently rocking the 2021 M1 iPad Pro in the 12.9 inch size. But what I wanted to do in this video is talk about my favorite iPad accessories, especially during this back to school time right now, because I see more and more people using the iPad Pro, especially in an education setting. So these accessories will probably help amplify your experience with the iPad Pro overall. So without further ado, let's talk about my favorite iPad Pro accessories. Let's get into it. So let's get started with the iPad itself. As I mentioned, I'm using the M1 iPad Pro, the 12.9 inch with 128 gigs of storage and no data, so it is the baseline version. I decided not to get the M2 iPad Pro just because the hover feature wasn't enough to entice me. I played with it for a while and the M1 iPad Pro was more than enough. So if you have an M1 iPad Pro, there's no need to go with the M2 unless you really need that spec bump of the M2 processor, which really isn't that much to begin with, or you need that hover feature. But that's my iPad Pro. And then what I want to do is talk about the main accessories that are always on my iPad, especially when I'm on the go. So the first thing you notice on the iPad itself is that I do have this kind of case, or maybe 3/4 of a case, if you can see that, and this is by a company called Pitaka. This is their new sandstone white color, and basically what this is a case that still works with your Magic Keyboard. So you see that on the bottom, you still have the 3 pin connectors, so you're able to attach to the Magic Keyboard and still be able to cover the iPad itself. This is great because with the Magic Keyboard, you don't get that rail and side protection, so being able to cover up the sides and the railings, give that extra added protection while using the Magic Keyboard still is great to have. And as you can see, my Apple Pencil still sits on there nice and flush, connects easily, still magnetically attaches and still magnetically charges on the iPad even with the case itself, and you can see that I have a Paperlike grip on that Apple Pencil. And on the front side of the iPad, I do have my Paperlike screen protector, but first, a quick word from our sponsor, Paperlike. Paperlike was one of the first iPad accessories that I'd ever tried. The moment that I got my 2018 iPad Pro, I knew I'd have to get the screen protector and it never disappointed. So now, 5 years later, Paperlike has just released their new version 2.1, or their Swiss Paperlike. The Swiss Paperlike still uses the nanodot layer, but is now spread more evenly across the surface of that screen protector in order to further minimize refractions, which was the main complaint that I would hear, so that's been totally fixed. This also allows for a crispier and more clear visual experience. It still has that amazing Paperlike feel that we've grown to love, but now they are offering even better overall visibility and clarity during use. It seems like they've perfected the iPad screen protector, especially for those who love to use their Apple Pencil. So Paperlike is currently celebrating the back to school season, so until September 17th, Paperlike is going to add the Digital Pro Planner for free to any hardware purchase. So even if you buy the pencil grips, which we'll touch on in a little bit, you will still get the Pro Planner 100% free, which is normally $12.99. They're also giving us a goodie bundle which gives you free stickers and inserts to go along with that digital planner. So if you or someone you know is planning on using their iPad for school, the Swiss Paperlike is an absolute must. If you want to support the channel and support a great brand like Paperlike, click the link down below to find out more. Thanks to Paperlike for partnering up with 9to5Mac. Now let's get back to these iPad accessories. I just thought having Paperlike as a sponsor and a partner for this video is absolutely perfect because I do use it on a daily basis. It goes on every single iPad that I use, so I did want to bring them into this as a must-have accessory for the iPad Pro, or any iPad for that matter. But to continue with the iPad, on the back of the actual Pitaka case, you might notice that there's another pin matrix kind of in the center back, and that is for the actual stand that I have behind me. So this stand is by Pitaka. This is my next accessory for you guys. It is a wireless charging stand for your iPad, and right now they have it for a few variants. They have it for the iPad mini, they have it for the iPad Pro in the 11 and 12.9, and they also have it for the iPad Air 4 and 5 generation. And basically what it does is this case has a USB-C plug that goes directly into the iPad, and then you can connect it with this pin connector to wirelessly charge your iPad at around 12 to 15 watts of speed. It kind of gives you this little kind of glimpse into the future of what the iPad could bring you and the types of conveniences that you get with wireless charging and with a magnetic attachment like MagSafe. So if Apple does bring MagSafe over the iPad, I think it's going to be a welcome addition, because right now there are some pros and cons with this. Yes, it looks cool. Yes, it's very convenient. But if you want to plug in a USB-C hub, you kind of either have to unplug this thing kind of uncomfortably, or you just take off the whole case itself. So overall, I do love the product. But again, if Apple brought this natively, it would just be a win overall. And then the next accessory that I'm going to mention is the Magic Keyboard, because the Magic Keyboard, even though it is probably the most expensive accessory that I've ever purchased for a tech item, it is my favorite accessory by far. The Magic Keyboard completely transforms your relationship with the iPad, but then the Magic Keyboard came with a trackpad and that cool floating design and all the double hinges and the ability to charge with another USB-C port in the hinge itself. The Magic Keyboard again changed the landscape of what the iPad was, and it turned the iPad from a tablet, from a handwriting tool, from a digital note-taking tool, to now a full-on laptop replacement in my opinion. That is the way that I use my iPad probably 95% of the time. I either use it on a stand on my desk, or when I'm on the go, or even at my desk itself, I use the Magic Keyboard to do pretty much everything. So when I'm editing videos, editing thumbnails, going on YouTube, whatever the case may be, I have the Magic Keyboard on me for most of the time. But now, if you're somebody that just wants to use your iPad in that tablet mode, because again, the iPad was first created to be a tablet, right? It's made to be used with an Apple Pencil. It's made to be used as a touch-first interface with your finger, so it's made to be used as a content consumption machine and handwriting machine. So if you do want just a Folio case that is very sturdy, very quality, I do recommend Paperlike's new charcoal Folio case, which I absolutely love. It has a nice microfiber lining on the inside. It has that trifold, so you're able to then kind of prop it back and have it stand up on its own. And then also it has a magnetic clasp that goes around your Apple Pencil. And for those people that are asking, does the case work with this Pitaka kind of case cover and kind of goes twofold? So you do not need to remove your iPad from the actual case itself to actually use the Paperlike Folio case. So if you guys want to do that and kind of be protected from all sides and all angles, this is a nice little setup, because not only can you use it on the go with that Folio case, but then when you are at your desk and maybe you have that wireless charger behind you, you can just take it off the actual case and to make sure that you're charging immediately. So those are the two cases that I recommend, or the two kind of on-the-go cases, right? You have your Magic Keyboard, which yes, I know it's very expensive at $350 even to this day, even though Amazon has them on sale usually for $300 or $250, depending on which one you get and what size you want. But then also you have the Folio case, which is a great little add-on. And again, it just feels very premium in the hand, and the way that they made the actual material is very quality. And now let's talk about some adapters and some USB-C dongle. The first one I mentioned is by Satechi, or Satechi, however you guys want to say it. And this is a 6-in-1. It has pretty much everything that you would need. It has an HDMI, it has a SD and mini SD card slot. It's got power pass-through, of course, with USB-C. It's got an auxiliary jack for 3.5 millimeters, and it has a USB-A port for some data pass-through as well. This is a great on-the-go solution. You just slap it onto the iPad itself. Now again, this is where the Pitaka case kind of shows its faults. You do have to remove the whole case to be able to use this one. So again, if you do not rock the Pitaka case, it is a no-brainer to get something small like that, because it's on the go, you keep it in your bag. If you need to kind of give a presentation with an HDMI port or an HDMI cable, it's very easy to use. And then if you want something a little bit more robust, or maybe if you plan on using your iPad as your desk setup computer, which is something that I did in the past and still currently do to an extent, this hub and stand is by a company called Pluggable. So this is an actual iPad stand, that's what it looks like. But then on the bottom, you see that you actually have an actual USB-C hub to use, which is great. You have your USB-C port that goes directly to the host, then you have an SD and micro SD card slot, you have another power pass-through for USB-C, you have an HDMI port 2.1, you have two USB-A ports, and then you have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. And what I like about this is just the amount of actual angles you're able to use your iPad in. I did a whole desk setup video with the iPad to really showcase how powerful this is. If you do have an M1 iPad Pro, if you're connected to an actual keyboard, you're able to use extended monitor support and also use this as a note-taking device. So it kind of lets you use your iPad how it's intended to be used, but then when you plug it into a monitor at the same time, you do have a computer-like situation that you're able to use as well. So being able to combine that with iPadOS 16 or iPadOS 17 with the right iPad is a very powerful setup. So these are just two options that I did want to show everybody. And I do want to say that everything that I mentioned in this video will be linked down in the description below for you guys to check out. If you guys do want to see one of these things in action, if you want to get one for yourself, by all means go for it. I do want to bring up some other auxiliary items. So like I mentioned, I do have an Apple Pencil 2, but it's been about 5 years since Apple released it alongside the 2018 iPad Pro, and for the most part, it's remained totally unchanged. Physically, it's the exact same. Apple still sells it for, I believe, $120 retail price, which is absolutely absurd. But throughout this time, it's given companies the ability to kind of catch up from a feature standpoint. So I do want to recommend a more budget-friendly Apple Pencil alternative, which is less than $40, and is the EIP Pencil Pro. I absolutely love that Apple Pencil alternative because it still charges magnetically, has tilt sensitivity, pressure sensitivity, charges even magnetically on the iPad Pro, connects via Bluetooth. It works with pretty much any iPad for that matter, so it doesn't need to be an iPad Pro or an iPad that magnetically charges. You can use it with any iPad, which is great to have, and it does come with a little charging cradle. It has every single feature that Apple Pencil 2 has, except for the double tap shortcut, which is something that I honestly never ever use. And then when it comes to actually powering up the iPad, there's a couple ways that I kind of go about it, but for this one, I'm going to stick with a small power brick by Satechi. This is a 30-watt brick because the iPad can only really max charge at 33 watts, and the one that comes in the box itself is usually a 20 or a 30-watt brick, so the Satechi one is more than enough. It is a USB-C charger, so bring that on the go because it's so tiny. And then if you need a portable battery, the one I have here by RavPower is great because it does give you USB-C PD, a USB-A fast charger, but then also gives you an actual 3-prong out that you're able to plug any wattage into. So if you have a 100-watt brick, you can plug it in there. Yes, it's going to drain the battery fairly quickly, but you're able to charge at extreme speeds, which is great to have. I don't know if this one is in stock anymore. I will link it below, and if not, I'll link some other alternatives because there are some other ones out there that I would recommend. I love this RavPower one because of the form factor. It fits kind of like on a side cup holder of your backpack because it is the size of literally like a flask or something like that. But that's the one by RavPower, and that is my portable kind of battery pack solution for the iPad Pro because it's big enough and strong enough to power the iPad Pro, but not so big and robust that it's annoying to bring around. And then 4 more items to round everything off. For audio, AirPods Pro 2, very simple to recommend. It's the best bang for buck audio experience you can get if you are in the Apple ecosystem. Active noise cancellation, transparency mode, the Find My network, which I use a ton. I always throw these by accident in my dirty clothes hamper and then end up getting them before they go into the wash. So that's always great to have. And then when it comes to an actual external SSD, I'm a big believer in buying less internal SSD just because it's so expensive from Apple. So then getting an external one that's maybe 512 or a terabyte. I have the Samsung T7, which is great. It has extremely fast transfer speeds of about 10 gigabits per second. I use it to kind of offload big file formats or big files that I use for these videos like this, because again, 128 gigs does not go that far, especially in 2023. And then of course, we do have to mention a controller. This one is by a company called Moga. It looks exactly like an Xbox controller, so if you guys are used to that, you can do that. But also, if you guys do have an Xbox or a PlayStation, you know, the iPad now fully supports those two natively. So if you want to jump into Apple Arcade, play a little NBA 2K, play some shooting games, play whatever the case may be, that is just another thing that iPad Pro can do. Because not only is it your computer, is it your tablet, is it your digital note taker, but it can be your game console of choice, especially if you guys want to watch this video where I was able to turn my iPad Pro into an actual dummy monitor for my Nintendo Switch and for my PlayStation. Definitely watch that video because it's an awesome one. And then lastly, we got to include some sort of cleaning solution. And this one I have with me on every single backpack. I actually have like 3 of these. I have one in the car, one in my backpack, and one in my desk. And it's a Paperlike Cleaning kit because it's an all-in-one. You have the spray solution inside the actual cleaning kind of casing itself. So you just spray and wipe with the case as well. Very self-explanatory. So those are some of the iPad accessories that I recommend. I wanted to go through these kind of quickly so I can recommend as many of these products as possible because these will be great to use on desk setups, they'll be great to use on the go, they'll be great to use in the classroom setting. So if you guys are on the more budget side, go for the EIP Pencil, go for a cheaper Magic Keyboard alternative. But if you guys do want to go and get the best of the best, the Magic Keyboard is still there for you. This Pitaka kind of wireless charging situation is there for you. So all things considered, these are great accessories for you to get started with your iPad Pro. Or even if you're an iPad Pro aficionado like I am, maybe these are some accessories that you've never heard of. But that's going to do for this video, everybody. Let me know what you guys think about this new backdrop. I'm working on the new studio right now, trying to see exactly how I want to kind of film things moving forward, but I'm liking this so far. But leave a comment down below of maybe an accessory that I missed, an accessory that you would recommend, or maybe an accessory that you would want out of here. And maybe, just maybe, we'll do a giveaway in the future. But that's going to do it, everybody. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end. We are less than a week away from the iPhone being announced and eventually released, so definitely stay tuned. Subscribe for more content because we will be covering all that iPhone stuff in the future. But that's going to do it, everybody. If you want to watch some more macOS, iOS, or iPadOS content, click on one of these right here. Thanks to Paperlike for sponsoring and partnering up with 9to5Mac. Until next time, click that link down in the description. Peace.